yes, after something like that happens, there's the tendency to run through your mind, what would I have done had I been in his shoes? And the entire time that I was with the department from the time he was killed, I don't remember getting any training that spoke to that issue. If someone takes your weapon, let's discuss all of the ramifications of it. If somebody has your weapon, your liability is this: you must stay. Department policy says you must stay. I saw nothing that would instruct a new guy, given those circumstances, to give him any advantage any more than Simpson had. Now, that's been a few years, but up until the time I quit, there was nothing that said, well, this is the way to think about it. If somebody has taken your weapon from you, departmental policy says, think that they're only mad at you and not mad at the world in general. If they harm someone else with the weapon, that's unfortunate, but it's not your responsibility necessarily.
Another point of view would be that if you are the primary target, you're not going to be able to further assist anybody if you're wounded or killed as well.
That would be something to instruct a new person. In other words, it's okay to retreat, to back away, to go back to your car, to get out of there to some position where you can perhaps be eyes, but not necessarily hands, at a scene that is still an unresolved scene. But there's seldom discussion about retreat. It's about you have a right to be there. You have, and I remember these words from the academy, you do not have a duty to retreat. So in other words, you're not obliged to back away from somebody. And that really says, and so if you are entitled to remain there, then you're entitled to do whatever you think you need to do while you're there. And my feeling was, well, if there's no object to act out on, why perhaps there's an advantage. So I think had I been in Gene's position, I would have gone back to the car and gotten my shotgun. I'm not sure that I would have come back and been right under his nose with that shotgun.
No, yeah.
It would have been a defensive.
Yeah, and as I recall, I think the main thing that Gene was trying to do was number one. I think he was calling in on his handheld radio, whatever you call them.
Yeah.
And so he had called it in.
Yeah.
He was reporting the fellow's position as he was moving, and I believe that he was trying to hide from the guy and remain unseen, and he didn't count on the guy seeing him or knowing where he was, and I think that was part of the problem too. Was Gene was on the ground when the guy approached him, and he was unable to then get away or do anything, right? But yeah, right when it happened, not only for Gene, but just thinking, well, what if my dad was in that position? And I kept thinking about that shotgun in the car, but maybe the car was at a distance, and he didn't feel that it was safe for him to be able to get there and get back and be able to monitor the situation as well. So I have that feeling definitely that he felt he had a responsibility to. I think in his mind he was just going to keep an eye on the guy until help arrived, and hoping that the guy wasn't as crazy as he turned out to be. And then another fellow was accidentally killed that day as well, Officer Silva.
Yes, Gordon Silva was the backup. He was one of the backups. And he came across the street. He was over by where the old Franco's Market was. That was on the southeast corner of 5th and Santa Clara. And he took a position behind a masonry rubbish canister, one of these made of concrete, heavy-duty things, but he was exposed when there was a shotgun that was discharged by another officer, and one of the pellets hit right in the wrong spot and severed a femoral artery, and of course his chest was covered, but his groin was not, and so he just bled out.
I think he died later at the hospital.
So Gordon was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And of course that's what everybody understands could be the situation. You get a call and it could be bad. Robert White, I knew Robert White. He was a young kid, but he was one of the ones that I knew. Rode a motorcycle to work, and he was handling an accident up on the east side. A car had run into a transformer, an in-ground transformer, and the car itself was the box did not shut off. It shut off momentarily, and then not seeing that there was a short, it turned itself back on. And the car, having contact with this metal box, had many thousand volts to ground, and Bob put his hands on the car and was electrocuted. But you wouldn't know not to touch that, except later they came out with a different way of trying to eliminate that hazard. And supposedly if it went off, it stayed off, it would not reset. But sometimes you're just fortunate to have made it through a shift, because I grabbed lots of cars and in lots of situations, and I've had a lot of near misses. Anyway, so that's what goes on.
How about the